compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on April 22nd, 2016, the notice of this meeting of the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board, mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded up until the closed session portion of this meeting and will be available on UTTV channel 97 and on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct that this announcement be made a part of the minutes for this meeting. I would ask all to rise for the salute to the flag, and I would also ask that you remain standing after the salute to the flag so that we can have a moment of reflection for Mort Smerling, who worked in our rescue squad and unfortunately had a heart attack and while on a job, and a few days later passed away. So after that, please remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Coggins?
Here.
Mr. Pearson?
Here.
Mr. Young?
Here.
Mayor Palumbo?
Here.
All members are present.
All right, would someone like to approve the minutes of the regular meeting and the closed session minutes from April 11th?
So moved. Second.
Is there any corrections, omissions that anyone's aware of? Hearing none. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried with all in favor.
Before we go through the report on the governing body members, we are going to have our budget hearing. We have our auditor here, Mr. Costello. So I'd like to go through that process first, and then we can jump back to the report of the governing body members. So we are about to entertain a vote at a later time, but at this time we'll open it up for a public hearing, and if anyone would like to address the Township Committee.
We have to take number one on the agenda first.
Yeah, this is,
It's the public hearing final adoption of the ordinance for the cap.
Oh, okay, so we're going to do the cap one first. Okay, so it's a public hearing, 6/2016, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
So, this is an ordinance that you have to do to, in your case, establish the bank. You're not exceeding anything. You're well within the cap. And you introduced this ordinance a month ago, and now it's a public hearing on it, and then you'll vote to adopt that ordinance.
Okay?
Motion to adopt.
Well, hold it.
No, you have to
first.
open up to the public.
That's what I was about to do. Would anyone from the public like to come up and address the township on this? Yes?
To speak on the pledge,
Well,
national, right?
yes.
Yeah, not this one.
Okay, so let the record reflect that there was no public comment. We'll close the public portion of this part and turn it over for a motion for adoption.
Motion to adopt. Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 2, we have authorizing the reading of the 2016 annual municipal budget by title only.
This is also another formality that opens the, otherwise the clerk would have to sit here and read every line of every page of the budget, technically.
Okay, so would someone like to make a motion to approve that by title only?
Motion to authorize. Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Okay, so at this time, we're at the 2016 budget public hearing. Would anyone like to address the Township Committee at this time?
Ted Kingston, Strathmere. I just wanted to be on record that I'm opposed to the budget. During the budget sessions, it's not, it's like the defense of the budget is constantly, well, we need this, or this has to be done. I'm not saying that these aren't worthwhile projects that need to be done. I'm questioning how much the public can afford. I can't be the only one that's struggling under these taxes. And going forward, it would seem like when the budget increase is being laid out, the determining factor shouldn't be the cap. The determining factor should be inflation or the consumer price index or some combination like that, which is below 1% at this point. So raising the budget 2% is not keeping even. It's an increase. And I mean, there was articles in the press today or Sunday, stating just that the purpose of the cap was to try and gradually shrink government under inflation. Well, if inflation's at 1 and we're raising it 2, we're still growing government. And it would be one thing, years ago, people could afford these increases. Now we've run the gambit, and now we're at the top of the scales, and people are struggling to afford it.
Take a question for you. We'd like to ask questions as far as what
It's
you're
your
saying.
call. It's public comment. You have to just let them talk.
You stated that the taxes and the cap, our cap, is costing so much money. What's been our percentage of increase the last 2 years, or Leon? Is it 0?
Last year was 0.
And some of what you've been saying is, we're running away, but we've been 0% for the last 2 years, so we're raising 2 now. If you take that over a 3-year period, we're at less than a 1.
And really, Ted, not to interrupt,
just to clarify, that's all.
But part of this year's struggle was a lot of the increase was due to increases in health benefits, increases to insurance costs, and we had a relatively small raise that we've offered to our employees, which we hadn't done in the past. To say that we haven't cut along
Just for the
way-
record, I don't begrudge Public Works
Right.
a raise or anything, but it just, how much can the taxpayer afford? From my point of view, in the last couple of years, we're facing a raise this year. Last year I had a 25-cent raise, all that stuff about the reval and all. My property value didn't go down, so I had a 25-cent raise. I had $3,000 in fees to the township for raising my house. The year before that, there was a 10-cent raise by the township. How much do you think people can stand?
My question would be to you as a citizen, right? Since it's the end of our 3rd-year term, and we've been trying to be as frugal as we can. I'm always explaining to people that, our township, part of that is 8% of what you pay. So if you're paying $10,000 a year in taxes, I don't know what you're paying. You're actually paying $800 a year for everything you get from the township. Where can we cut that? And the problem is our school and the county and fire.
Let's get away from the idea of cutting. The idea I'm trying to float is stop making the increases so big.
But
Everybody
we have an
looks at
increase
what
in-
we can cut. I realize cuts are hard, but slow down on the increases.
We haven't
The
increased,
increase could be
we haven't
1%
increased
this
as a
year.
whole for 2 years. It caught up with us. This year, we had to have an increase to catch up from not having increases the past 2 years. I'm not, a financial wizard by any stretch of the imagination, but the same token, I know if you're paying $5,000 a year taxes, you're paying $400 for every service you get. That's the average person in this township. How much can we cut? Do we take away paid rescue? Do we take away leaf and brush collection? I'm asking because I'm going to be on the street walking around here talking to people, and I want your input because I want to know what I have to answer.
I think that the township could have, and the school board, because it's addressing both. I think when the inflation rate, what it was, I think that what would have been appropriate this year was a 1% increase, not a 2% increase. That little bit of difference would have shown
I'm not sure we had a 2% increase, Leon. It was a 2-cent
2 cent.
increase. But that didn't represent 2%.
Well, it gets a little confusing. I'm sorry if I got the details on that.
Yes,
It's
that's
close,
right,
it's
yeah.
real close to the 2%, right, for the township?
There was a 2 cent increase.
Which represented what as a percentage? I don't recall.
The percent of the levy increase was 13.8%, was the percent of the levy increase. Came out to
Okay.
2 cents. Yes.
Got it.
So,
Because your levy's so small,
that.
an increase is magnified.
Can you say that again? The increase was what percent?
13.8.
Well, then I misunderstood, and it's worse than I thought.
But it's 2 cents, that's the part that matters. Your levy's so small that a change, it magnifies the percent of the increase.
If I can clarify, it's not a 2% of spending, it's the levy.
Right.
It's 2
Okay.
cents on the levy. So it's only, because our levy is only a very small portion of municipal budget because we have the energy receipts tax that you add in, but it's not a percentage of that, it's only a percentage of what's raised by taxation.
Okay, because I was getting confused. I know this is the township committee, but like the school board raised it 2%, and I was trying to figure out, well, if this was 2% here, what was 2 cents over at the school board? And I still don't fully understand that. But 13% is certainly worse than the 2% I was complaining about.
you're not alone.
You have to understand, Ted, it's only, that's a percentage of what's being raised by taxation. We have such a small amount raised by taxation because we have energy receipts tax that pays for the rest of the budget. It's not a percentage of our whole budget. So when we have a 5% increase in medical insurance, which is one of our biggest costs, right? That's a cost, 5% increase of a large chunk of our budget. Same thing when you give a 2% increase to employees, which is approximately 40%, 60% of the budget.
Yes, mhm.
So that is not the amount raised by taxation, it's the entire budget. We have such a small amount raised by taxation, $3 million?
Yes, mhm.
$3 million out of a $9 million budget?
12.
12. I can tell I didn't go to the budget workshop, but I'm trying to explain the math.
To turn that perspective around, from my point of view, I'm in the private sector. I had my own health insurance increase I had to pay, so I paid mine, plus it paid the townships, plus it paid the school boards. I mean, so I get hit 3 times. I'm not asking you to do anything worse than what I have to do. You know, my revenues didn't go up 13%, my revenues didn't go up at all, and yet I had my own health insurance increase, plus the townships, plus the school boards, plus the township raise. I mean, it just, there's a breaking point where it's just not gonna work anymore. And I'm sure I'm not the only one feeling
I
it.
can only address it to the recreation and building and grounds, because that's what I deal with. But, some of the comments that were made, in the article and stuff is that we're, spending unnecessary money on recreation. But if you go back and look at the figures, I would almost say we're 50% less than we were 10 to 12 years ago on our budget. Less people, we've cut it to the max. And short of cutting programs, you can't just keep running at zero. We've already put the money back on the parents as a pay to play, where the parents are now paying anywhere from $50 to $125 a kid to play a sport. That's saving everybody else that doesn't have a kid playing that money.
And I understand what you're saying. I'll go back to what I opened with. It's not that these programs and spending are wasteful or bad. It's that people can't afford it anymore.
Oh, I know. All right, thanks for answering the question.
Thanks, Ted. Anyone else?
Kevin Grubb, Greenfield. I just had a couple questions based on what you said. You said one of your biggest increases was health benefits, health packages, correct? Is that what you said?
It played a significant role. I mean, in the past, we have made some significant savings, and it is catching up a little bit to us at this point. We have shifted in and out of different programs in an effort to keep the costs down. This year, we had, how much was it, 5%? What was it, so 5% increase, which, by the way, is very low on the scale compared to what most businesses and most private sectors and a lot of other municipalities are experiencing with respect to rate increases. It was a relatively small one, but it does play a role in it, as does the salaries and as does overall insurance, to run the township.
So how much is a package per employee?
Well,
What are
it
they-
depends
what
if
are the
it's,
packages?
it depends
It
if it's a
depends
single,
on-
it depends if it's a parent and
Well, what's
spouse.
a single package versus a family package?
I don't have the figures in front of me. I believe it's about $11,000 for a single.
And how much per family?
That's about $32,000 for a family.
How many employees is the township out right now? They're down. You've lowered the amount of employees that you have. How many are missing that you haven't filled positions full-time?
I don't want to be misquoted, so we'll make sure that she has the proper
How
information.
many, what time period are you talking about?
Over the last 5 years? 8 years?
Again, I don't have the figures in front of me, probably 10 to 12, I would say.
Okay. Do you know how many of them were single packaged benefit packages or?
Well, Kevin, you're asking
I
some
don't know that.
specific questions that
Some
require
were retirees.
some information that we can certainly supply to you, but, we're not prepared to be answering long-term questions. We're here to address the existing budget, and that's what you're supposed to be commenting right
The
now.
reason I'm asking this is because if those packages aren't being paid to those employees anymore, how does that money not offset the increase that you've had for the remaining employees?
Some of the
Yes.
employees that we lost that were retirees. So, and if they had more than 25 years, then their health insurance is still paid for by the township.
And then the rest were either laid off, fired, or whatever, so that money would be available to go towards the rest of the employees to make up the difference, correct?
I would say yes.
We don't know how much that is.
No, but Kevin, again, we're here to address the specific budget right now. There's a public hearing on the budget. This isn't
This is
to be,
included in
you're
what you
asking
just
questions, no, you're asking questions that are more specific to past years, and we'll certainly give you the answers that you need upon request, but this is to address this year's budget. That's what this public hearing is right now.
That's what I'm addressing. I'm basing this off of the comments that you made, that your increases were based off benefit packages and health packages.
For this year,
That's correct.
Right.
So if the increases, we're talking about the employees that aren't here anymore.
Well-
Over the years that you've had those employees.
That's the
But you don't-
increase from last year to this year. It's just a
that's all
one-year
it is.
increase.
I'm only
Right.
quoting the increase from last year to this year.
Okay, that's all I have. Thanks.
Anyone else? Now's the time to come and address the township committee. Okay, it appears that there's no further public comments. We'll close the public hearing portion. And I know we have to do a resolution first before we move forward with actual approval of the budget, so.
Yes, you're doing a resolution to add $121,000 of a revenue and an expense for the overage for the parking lot in the change order that you had for the additional work that had to be done. And you have a capital reserve that this is coming out of, so it has no effect to the budget. It's a revenue on one side and expense on the other side. So it doesn't change what our 2-cent tax increase was. And so you need to do a resolution to amend it if you want to include this in there. And then after that amendment's done, then make a motion to adopt the budget as amended.
Okay?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the budget.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
So now,
Now, the clerk will read the resolution, and then someone, if they want, makes a motion to adopt the budget, and away we go.
Okay. Be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Upper and the County of Cape May that the budget herein before set forth is hereby adopted and shall constitute an appropriation for the purposes stated of the sums therein set forth as appropriations and authorized of the amount of $3,061,538.99 for municipal purposes.
Motion to adopt per Mrs. Young's resolution.
first and a second. Any
Okay.
further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
And the last piece you have for the budget is that 2 out of every 3 years, you get to do your budget. Barbara certifies that it met all the requirements, I certify it met all the requirements, and 1 year the state will review your budget. I think we're up next year for the state review. So this resolution is saying that you've met all the requirements, and you have to be in good shape to be able to self-exam. The 1/3 of the towns aren't self-exam, 2/3 are, but more like 55% of the budgets get reviewed because they disqualify from not meeting the requirements that you meet. So this is a resolution to pass your budget with a local unit exam.
Motion to pass the budget with a local unit examination. Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Now you have a budget.
Well, thank you, Mr. Costello, for your help, and thank you,
Yes.
Barbara, for all your help, and Mr. Coggins, you know, it was a great team effort this year, and
You have 5 or 6 budget workshops, so open to the public workshops on the budget. I mean, you certainly did go through it. It's only up $128,000, the entire budget itself. So commend you for a frugal budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thanks.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
all right, so let's go back to the report from the governing bodies. Barbara, do you have anything for us this evening?
I just have one item. I had reported at the last meeting that the BL England would hold a public hearing on their air permit on May 10th, and there's been a change in that date. The public hearing for BL England's air permit will now be May 17th this year. It's from 7 to 9 p.m. here at the municipal building. And that's all I have this evening, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Daniel?
Nothing at this time. We do have a contract negotiation and personnel matter closed.
Okay. I apologize. Paul had called me earlier, and he had a family emergency, and that's why he's not here this evening. So, Barbara?
I have nothing this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Coggins?
First, I'd like to offer my condolences to the Schmerling family and to the rescue squad family for the loss of one of their members in the line of duty. Second, I would like to offer my thanks to Barbara Spiegel, to Leon Costello, to the department heads, to my fellow committee members for the diligence that everyone put into the budget process this year. There were a lot of returns of the budget to department heads. There was a lot of discussion. There was, I thought we had tremendous dialogue in being able to understand where these changes were coming from and the need for them. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Young?
Just a few things. A new item on here, we had a request for a men's basketball program 1 night a week, over 40 at the community center. And
You on the agenda?
It's on the
it's on
agenda.
the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not a men's basketball program, it's an adult basketball.
Adult basketball,
yeah.
poor terminology on my part. So we'll do that one, okay. We are in the process, we had a request also for some golf nets, like a driving range thing, so I've met with Dwayne and a few of the other people, and we're looking at different areas to see what area might be better suited for it, and putting together some cost factors. I'd like to...
And that was a request from seniors.
Seniors.
And they're looking to have something for them, for, things for those people, for those to do as well. So.
This item I have is really not so much personal, but knowing the little girl. This past weekend, or weekend before last, we had a benefit for Sadie Newsom, a young girl that has SMA. And I just want to commend the whole community, sports programs, and right on down the entire committee. We had an unbelievable turnout for this little girl and raised an unbelievable amount of money for her parents to be able to buy a handicap van and do different things. We had well over 550 people attend the benefit. And I just want to commend the people in this township for coming together on a much-needed thing for a sweet little girl. And I hope that that's where we're going to continue to head. We all had a blast.
That was
And,
fun.
you know, and the family is just so thankful for everything that took place. We had over 120 Chinese auction items that we auctioned off. So quite an event. 4th of July, we had a meeting with the fireworks guy, and everything's a go for this year. So that's taken care of. We have a meeting on May the 10th at 7 o'clock. I think Sean was going to get a hold of you about having it here. Open to anybody in the township that would like to get involved in organizing the 4th of July event for this year. Baseball and softball are underway. Needless to say, we had some field issues this year with the weather, and especially with practices. We're really at a minimum on available fields when it comes to the amount of programs that we have out there right now. So we're trying to coordinate that better and keep moving forward. And other than that, that's all I have.
Great.
I would also like to express my condolences to the Schmerling family and to our Upper Township Rescue Squad and all of our EMS community. And I also believe he was a member of employee of Atlantic Care, I believe? Yeah. In the Atlantic Care family. You know, a lot of us, you know, coming from the emergency services myself, a lot of people take everybody for granted out there who do police, fire, and rescue squad. And day and night, they're out there every time we need them. So again, condolences to the Schmerlings and his dedication and years of service to our community. That's all I have to report. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Pearson?
I would like to say the same thing for the Schmerling family. My condolences to them. I have reached out personally and tried to make contact with the family to tell them that I was grieving with them, and I cannot be at the funeral on Wednesday because I made a previous commitment to speak at the school over here. So anyway, I left a message with them, and I have left my phone number so that they can contact me. I feel very sad, especially when it's a line of duty person on the job. It's a tough thing to handle when you're trying to evacuate somebody else that's ill, and then all of a sudden one of your persons goes down. And I've been there and done that on the fire scene, and it's not fun. And I congratulate the EMS team as they handled the project. They did a great job. Brought him back, but life moves on. So God bless them. God bless their family.
Yes, and obviously our condolences go out to the family, and we have been working with our employees as well, with the EMS, and providing them with any type of counseling that they may need. So, you know, it's a tragic occurrence, and but as you know, Mr. Pearson and Mr. Barr alluded to, it was during the line of duty, and you know they worked night and day, and under difficult scenarios at times. And this one actually turned out to be more difficult. So we hope that all goes well with the family moving forward. I also want to remind everyone that you're cordially invited to the Upper Township National Day of Prayer Ceremony. That is Thursday, May 5th at 10 a.m. We've been having this ceremony as long as I can recall. It was a day that was set aside by President Reagan. And we will have a majority of the priests and preachers from the different denominations in the township will come here and give a benediction and their thoughts on the day of prayer. Also, there will be another safe and secure medicine disposal at the ShopRite on Thursday, May 5th at 10 a.m. to noon. No questions will be asked. You're asked to drop off your unused medications, especially those that might be associated with controlled substances. And, you know, if you've had a relative that may have had some severe illness or chronic pain, and are no longer using those medications, you're asked to dispose of them so that they don't get into the wrong hands. And again, no questions are asked, just drop them off on Thursday, May 5th at the ShopRite. It's Operation Project Medicine Drop. It's a part of our state trooper barracks are working closely with the division of the Office of Attorney General's office that is running this program. So that's all I have. Let's move on to the resolutions.
Item number 6, honoring Paul Howe on attaining the designation of Eagle Scout.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 7, encouraging the use of reusable cloth-type shopping bags as opposed to single-use plastic bags.
Move the resolution.
Second.
And I'm sure our green team will be happy with that, so would you please call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 8, a resolution opposing Assembly Bill A 2281 regarding the Smart Container Act.
Move the resolution.
Second.
And just for the public knowledge, this is an assembly bill that's asking for deposits on bottles. The township has a very high and significant percentage of recycling as it is. So this will really be a burden for individuals that are going out and purchasing even bottles of water will be taxed, or you'll have a deposit you'll have to put on any type of bottle. So we're opposed to this because we feel that we're doing a great job with recycling now, and we're trying to not put any undue amounts of money on individuals with this deposit that's going into it, so.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 9, designating certain Strathmere beach areas in the Township of Upper as a surfing beach and a catamaran sailboat beach for the 2016 summer season.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 10, authorizing a contract with CASA Payroll Services of Pleasantville, New Jersey for payroll services.
Motion to authorize.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 11, authorizing the award of a contract with Caprioni Portable Toilets for equipment rental.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 12, appointment of Norman W. Briggs to act as special legal counsel.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 13, authorizing the Township of Upper to enter into a contract with Cape Regional Health System to provide pre-employment physical examinations.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 14, accepting the annual stormwater report and certification and authorization and authorizing the township engineer to electronically sign and submit it to the NJDEP pursuant to stormwater rules.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 15, appointing Michael Paff and Ronald Rain as part-time seasonal beach sweepers to the Upper Township Public Works Department.
Move the resolution? Nope.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 16, adopting revisions to the Upper Township Supervisors Personnel Policies and Procedures Manual and Employee Handbook, Section 6, Upper Township Beach Patrol.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 17, accepting the conveyance of real property known as Block 736, Lot 45, on the municipal tax map of the Township of Upper, County of Cape May, and State of New Jersey by gift.
Before you act on this one, just give you a little background. This is, they were asked to donate this. This is out in the Meadowlands off of Roosevelt Boulevard. The title was clear, so we're getting a clean deed. From the title search that they provided to us, Paul has indicated that the physical condition of the property is appropriate. They're the two main requirements under our ordinance to accept this donation. One question I do have, and if you want to go forward, I would ask you to at least do maybe a motion in a second after you act on the resolution. Since we have a title search for an extra $200, I checked with the title company. We can actually get $50,000 worth of title insurance. Not that we'd ever need it or we'd ever sell this land, but at $200, it's a relatively minimal cost for a $50,000 insurance policy. So I would recommend that, but I would ask you to do that as a separate motion if you adopt the resolution or after you adopt the resolution.
This was the land just east of yesterday's, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted.
They already donated
Yeah.
land west of that fronts on Roosevelt Boulevard to the state. And I guess the state didn't want this one because it had no road frontage, and they said, would you like it?
Okay.
So,
Right, so we need to make a motion first.
Motion to accept the conveyance of the property.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the $200 fee for title insurance for the property known as Block 736, Lot 45 on the municipal tax map.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 18, authorizing the award of a professional services contract with Dr. Stuart C. Farrell, Coastal Research Center of the Richard Stockton College of New Jersey, for shoreline monitoring and consulting services for beach-related issues.
Move to authorize.
Second?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 19, authorizing the purchase of bathroom partitions for the concession stand restrooms at Amanda's Field in the amount of $2,612.25 through the Keystone Purchasing Network Cooperative Contract.
Move the resolution.
Second?
Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number,
Bob, just for the record, that's out of the grant money, correct?
excuse me?
That's out of the grant money? Because the bathrooms are covered under the grant.
That's correct.
I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Item number 20, public hearing and final adoption of ordinance number 7, 2016, an ordinance authorizing the exchange of certain parcels of vacant ground within the Township of Upper, subject to certain terms and conditions. And this is public hearing.
Okay, so at this time, we'll open up, if there's any public comment on ordinance 7, 2016, exchange of parcels, vacant ground within the township. Okay, it doesn't appear we have any public comment, so I'll close the public portion and entertain a motion for adoption.
So moved.
Second?
Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried with all in favor. Item number 21, public hearing and final adoption of ordinance number 8, 2016. A bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Township of Upper in the County of Cape May, New Jersey, appropriating $2,973,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,821,785 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof.
Okay, I'll open it up. Would anyone like to address the ordinance pertaining to this bond issue? Again, there's no public comment, so we'll close the public portion and entertain a motion for adoption.
Motion to adopt.
Second?
Call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried with all in favor. Item number 22, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 9, 2016, an ordinance authorizing the grant of an easement from the Township of Upper to an adjacent landowner. And if you so choose to introduce this, if we could have a public hearing on May 23rd, that would work well.
Okay, so there is no public comment portion, and that will be on May 23rd.
Just to give you a little background on this, before you vote on it, introduce it. This is a property that has a barn that encroaches approximately 1.5 feet onto township property. It's been there for decades, maybe even 100 years. I'm not sure exactly how long it's been there. It's a property that was recently acquired as part of our Market to Affordable program by the subsidiary of Triad, our consultant. And in order to clear up the encroachment issue, the easement will allow the building to stay there, but if they ever tear it down or it gets destroyed by more than 75%, the easement goes away. It doesn't impact the township at all because it's been there for decades.
Yeah, I looked at the barn that's in question. It's, even though it's, you know, very, very old, it's in great shape. And it has been part of that neighborhood forever. So it'd be a shame to have it torn down.
And it would create quite a administrative quagmire to tear it down because it's in Pinelands. You'd have to get approval, and it's really not worth it, and it adds value to some degree to the property. And again, it's been there for decades.
Move to introduce.
Second.
Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 23, Upper Township Historical Society request for the use of township-owned buildings for a historical museum.
I haven't had much input on this. Are they looking to use the entire building?
I really don't know, other than what's in the letter. I would suggest you have it be reviewed by perhaps code enforcement and your engineer to see what would be entailed with bringing it up to habitability. There may be some issues with that. And then secondly, perhaps as someone from Buildings and Grounds could reach out to them and find out what specifically are their desires. Do they want the whole building? How would they? And I don't really know. It's been so long since it's been used. It's a code issue.
I've inspected the property, and you're with us, right? Yes. You know, definitely handicap ramp, new heating and air conditioning, probably some electrical upgrades. We've also had, I'll get a hold of them and sit down. We've also had some discussions of possibly utilizing part of that for offices, for public works, for people that have to, that are dealing with the public on a daily basis. The accessibility where we are is pretty poor, and also the appearance is pretty poor. So possibly we can work something out together to mix use that building and give ourselves something a little bit more professional too.
I have been in touch with these people, the Historical Society, and I recommend we support this and try to move forward on this.
Are they looking for us to put the money out for this, or are they looking, possibly, I'm thinking historical grant possibly.
Well, that was going to be my next point is there is grant money from the county that we could request and possibly from the state that we could upgrade that building with, so, but we have to look into it.
The building's sound.
Yeah.
It just needs updates.
Yeah. And I would support this. I think it's time for us to have a municipal museum for the township, something that we could fall back to and say that here's our repository for history in the township. And I think it would be nice. Many towns have these museums. They're small. The county has a nice museum. So I would recommend we support this action. We'll just have to figure out a way to how to fund it.
So what you need to do is give some direction. Do you want to get the engineer and the code official to review it to what would be required to bring it up to habitability? And then you would have to review the possible application for county funds.
Exactly.
So if you put that in the form of a motion, maybe Barbara could direct the appropriate
I would move that.
people.
What Dan said.
Moved everything he said.
Do you want to second that?
I'll second that. I think it's a great move to get this thing back
Yeah.
on, into a use.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Goggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 24, George Carianis request for the use of the Upper Township Community Center for pickup basketball games for adults over 40. And this would be similar to what we have now, the adult over 18 basketball pickup games. And he's just requesting to use the
This will be
building
the same way
one.
we had the other one set up, where someone will be designated as the
Yes, he
main
would be
person
designated
responsible.
and he would be responsible for
Everybody will have to
everyone
sign in, sign
filling out
waivers.
waivers and all that.
And there'll probably be 2 or 3 people probably designated as the coordinators on it, because we found that out before. One person can't make it and it shuts the program down.
Yeah.
So I would be all for this. They're willing to do late nights or whatever's available for them.
Yes.
And
Is that a motion?
that's a motion.
I'll second it. There you go.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Someone like to have a motion to pay the bills?
I hereby move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and then incorporated into the full minutes of this meeting.
Second. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
We have one report from the municipal departments from the tax assessor. That will be available tomorrow upon request at the clerk's office. But in the meantime, I'd like to make a motion to accept the tax assessor report.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Okay, we have reached the public comment portion of the meeting. If anyone would like to address the Township Committee, now is the time to do it. If you'd like to address us, please come up, state your name and your address and what you have on your minds.
Kevin Grubb, Route 50. I just have one question. The building you were just referred to from the Historical Society requested, what township employees, public works employees were you trying to put offices in there for? What position?
It was just a in general conversation where we put the supervisor of roads, possibly the secretary, and any, possibly the coordinator for recycling and everything, because he's dealing with the schools and meeting with people on a regular basis. So it'd be basically 3 people. Everything else would stay at the other building.
But at this time, it's all exploratory.
Just
There's nothing.
exploratory.
We have to see if it's going to be cost effective first.
That's all I have. Thanks.
Natalie Neese, Petersburg. What's the address of that building that the Historical Society is looking at?
It's the old
It's the old-
township hall.
The old municipal township hall, you know, right by, over on,
Mount Pleasant.
what's that?
Mount Pleasant Road.
Mount Prospect Road?
Pleasant.
Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant.
Mount Pleasant Road.
It's the
Right
old
next
brick,
to
the old brick building.
right next to
now.
the road department.
Was that?
Right next to Public Works, right across from Public Works.
Was that the,
At one time, it was a railroad museum. Prior to that, it was
High school.
the township
It
hall.
was Township Hall at one
I
time.
mean, when I first started on the zoning board, 20-some years ago, that's where we used to meet.
High school.
Originally, it was an old school.
Some kind of school.
It was a school.
It was a school originally.
Yeah.
that's what I
Back in
was
the day.
wondering, if it's on Kendall Lane there and
What the school
it was
did,
the,
I'm sorry, I can't hear what
if
you're
it was
saying.
on Kendall Lane and if it is the, original Upper Township School building that was there in,
There's 2 buildings there now.
1925.
There's 2 buildings here. The one that's right on Kendall is where we use for our carpentry shop. This is the one next to it, the brick building.
Is it on that same, it's
It's on the
less than an
same-
acre property, right?
Same property.
But it's less than an acre.
It's all one lot.
It's all part of the public
It's all
works.
one lot.
too.
I think it includes public works lot. I believe it's all one
I
lot.
thought when I went over the deeds that there were, it was two parcels.
My understanding is all one lot, but I could be wrong. If you looked at deeds, you may know more than I do.
Well, I believe that on the tax map, they have it as two separate parcels.
That I can't tell you, you may know more than we do. All I know is
Well,
where it is.
I'm a little bit concerned because the property that's adjacent is the 6-acre parcel where you want to put the interconnect station for the gas, correct?
It's not where we want. We were approached by South Jersey Gas and asked if we would be
But
interested.
you've been supporting
But
it.
it hasn't happened yet. They haven't come with a formal request, so there's no ordinance yet.
Okay, well then, I mean, I think it's important to know who owns the property and if it
Well,
is.
we own both of those properties, whether they're two separate lots or one lot, I can't tell you because I don't have a title search.
Okay, well, I was unable to find that it belonged to the Township of Upper. Caldwell Park, I was asked to inquire or bring to attention the lights on the basketball courts. They don't appear to be working. Is anybody familiar with that?
I haven't received any reports that they're not working.
Okay, well then I guess I'm gonna report that.
Well, we'll take a look at it and make sure they're working.
Okay, and I was told that it might not be the lights themselves, it might be the timer because of the time change.
We will send the guys down there and, you know, and check it and see what it is and take care of it.
Okay, and there was a program that the Historical Society had at the Tuckahoe train station this past weekend, and over 300 people were there. And I'm wondering, I didn't see anybody from the township.
I was out of town this weekend, so that's why I wasn't there.
Likewise, I was too. I was in North Jersey.
Okay, now I didn't see a whole lot in the newspapers at all about the function either.
It was in there.
It's you'll have to ask the reporters this, what they want to do.
I think it was-
They pick and choose what they.
I think I recall seeing something on their upcoming events for the township or
Yeah,
something.
it was in the
Yes.
paper. I know they advertised it. Gentleman, Mr. Cooper back there, he can tell you they advertised it. I know it was in the paper several weeks. So,
Well, is there a representative on the board there that works with the historical?
I couldn't be there this weekend. I'm the one that works with the historic, and Jeff also is involved with the historical.
I was not there. I was out of town. I had a personal thing to go to in North Jersey, Somerset, New Jersey. I can't be here all the time. I didn't return until Sunday morning. I missed my granddaughter's birthday. Mr. Cooper, did anybody from your historical society, were they there running the event?
No, at the last meeting, you approved use of the property
Right.
for the festival. The Historical Society opened the train station, but we weren't running the event.
You weren't running the event? Okay.
It was some railroad association,
There's a
wasn't it?
railroad
So
association.
it wasn't even the township?
Right.
Yeah, it was a railroad association.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
It's an outside event.
It was
So
an
it wasn't
outside
the township, it was an
organization.
It wasn't a
outside
township
event.
event.
Right.
I'm not gonna scramble. I mean, we were out of town. I couldn't get back, so it happens. Try to make everything we can.
I do want to apologize, though, quickly to say that I went to the green team's shredding opportunity on Saturday, and I think that was a great success. When I was there were a number of residents taking advantage of it, including myself, and I took probably 4 or 5 bags full of old documents that I wanted shredded, and it was taken care of quickly, and I thought that was a great success, and I hope that you do it again in the future. So I think it's pretty safe to say that we try and get to most of the events that are available, especially if they're Upper Township sponsored. And we obviously can't make everything. We all have some commitments to family and other things that we're involved with. But I would like, I think that's a perfect example how, when something is sponsored by, a township, we make an effort to be there.
I agree, I think it's important to the historic district there in Tuckahoe and anything he can do to help. The barn that you talked about tearing down, or the 1.5 foot easement, is that Tuckahoe property?
Is that a what kind
Is
of property?
that a Tuckahoe property?
It's on Route 50, yes. 2140, I believe is the address.
We're not tearing it down.
No.
No.
We're giving the easement so the building can stay there.
Okay.
Now, this is the old Shropshire property that backs up to the old municipal hall.
How did it come about that the easement from the township? Was it before the zoning board or something? or-
No. Do you want me to answer this?
Go ahead, please.
All right. This is a property that was identified. We have an affordable housing program called Market to Affordable. We have a consultant contractor called Triad Associates. Their subsidiary identified this property. I believe it was a foreclosure property that local individuals had purchased, rehabbed it, and then put it up for sale on the multiple listing service. Triad entered into a contract with it. Towards the end of that contract period, it was discovered through a survey that that barn is 1.5 feet over the line onto the township property. The question was, is it still a viable property with that encroachment for an affordable housing unit for the township, okay? And Triad thought it was, and they are a contractor, and in order to clear up the title so that when that affordable housing unit is sold to an affordable family, okay, someone meets the qualifications, that the title will be clear. So the easement, the township committee decided to give the barn an easement to clear up the title for 1.5 feet of the property. 2 reasons. One, it promotes the Market to Affordable program that the township is supporting. And the second reason is that it has been there for decades. And to tear it down requires significant applications to the Pinelands. Has nothing to do with the zoning board.
Historical building, Tom.
Significant applications to.
Pinelands, they don't even tear anything down in the Pinelands without a certificate saying it's appropriate. And this is an historical building. They would, in all likelihood, they would require studies to say that it's not needed. There would be significant hopes to go through to tear it down to get the building not to encroach. So rather than do that, and rather than tear down a historical structure, it's very simple for the township to grant a 1.5 foot easement.
How close is that barn property to the 6 acre parcel?
It's part of that. I'm not sure if it's the exact one, because I don't have the tax map in front of me, and you identified that there's 2 lots there. It's my understanding, Paul, if you were here, could give more specific detail on it. From my understanding, it's the parcel that the old high school is on, the old township hall is on.
So then possibly that the public works, the property that the public works is on came from that Shropshire property? at
No,
one time?
no,
No.
no. The Shropshire property is the property that is somewhat on our land, and that's why we're given the easement. It's not that the whole land came from that property.
So then Shropshire at some time, or whoever owned it previous to them, built the barn on.
Whoever did it
Somebody
100
else's
years ago
property.
didn't know where the property line properly was, built the barn in the wrong place.
I would say that barn's probably every bit of 100 years old.
How old?
100 years old. It was old when I grew up there as a kid, so I know it's got to be over 80 to 100 years old. So it's significant historical wise, we probably have a problem tearing it down.
Do you remember what was behind the barn?
Yeah.
On the property?
Yeah, that's the old school and then the carpenter shop.
Weren't there some kind of pits or something there?
Always been that school since I can remember.
On 6 acres?
Well, I don't know about the 6 acres, but the school was right on that same piece. My dad went to school there. So I'm very aware of it. And I'm sure there was no surveys done when that barn was built, it was just encroached.
Do you know when the school left there and went to Ocean City?
Oh, God, no. My dad graduated in 1947, so I
think
wasn't
it was
even
in
a thought in his eye at
1950s
that
the
point.
school closed.
Huh?
I believe it was in the 1950s the school closed. I remember reading an article on it.
Yeah.
Well, then the last thing I have, is about my neighbor's property. And, I don't know, I guess I'm gonna call it a private nuisance. And I think that perhaps my issue is, with Shelley, the zoning officer, and, I guess, Mr. Young, I'd like to know, how the township stands if, Shelley gave a zoning permit, 10 years ago to, install a fence on the property line, and then the fence becomes in disrepair, and, sections of it fall over on the neighbor and, makes a big hole in the fence. Is the, neighbor then obligated to, repair the fence and put it back up?
I would have to review the file and the complaint with Shelley. This is not the proper forum to give you an answer on something like that, because I frankly don't have enough information. And you're talking about a permit that was issued 10 years ago. So I would have to really, if you, did you file a complaint with Shelley?
Yes, I have. This has been over a year running, and
Did
I
she
guess
give you an
I'm-
answer?
I guess it's not clear, but I guess my question is about real estate law. If there is a fence on a property line, who does the fence belong to?
Depends upon whose fence, who put it there.
Put it in.
If it's the neighbor's fence and it's on the neighbor's side or on the line, it's the neighbor's fence.
So that they can just take down the fence then?
Certainly.
Just for the record too, Dan, I abstain for this because it's my
Okay.
family's property.
There's no law that says you have to keep a fence up unless it's part of the site plan approval for like a commercial development or something like that. Now, there are laws if you have pools, they have to be fenced in yards, things like that. But generally speaking, there's no requirement that neighbors have fences between them.
Well, what's the law then on pools?
I can't give you the specifics, but there's a certain height, and the pickets have to be close enough that somebody can't climb up them. That the gate locks have to be a certain type. It has to be a spring-loaded door, and things like that on pools. But
And would that be the whole way around the,
Pool.
they have, around the pool?
Yes.
depends upon the type of pool. Some above-ground pools have barriers that you don't need a fence.
And what about the township stand on noxious growth then? Poison ivy and,
There's an ordinance on it.
again, what do I do then if I have an issue with Shelley
You would
taking care
start
of?
with a complaint or request from Shelley's office.
Okay, I've done that, and, truthfully, you know, Mr. Young, Hobie Young, sits up there and says that he's not part of this or whatever, but, you know, he goes out that door and, he worked with Shelley for years. She was the secretary there, and,
That's why he has a conflict. He's not.
He's recused. He said he was
Recused
recused
himself. He's not
anytime you talk
talking.
about it.
He can't deal with it.
By law, I can't speak on it.
He can't affect any decision with Shelley.
out of curiosity, how are you related to those people?
Well, you're really getting beyond the scope.
Did you just
Listen,
ask the Hobie a question? He has a conflict.
He-
He can't answer you.
right. And, you know, look, I realize you have a lot of questions about a lot of different issues, but, you know, we need to stay focused on ones that are, you know, specific. You have a personal issue that needs to be addressed through zoning or, you know, and has to be done. That's something that we need you to file a complaint and move forward. But for tonight's meeting, you know, we need to address things specific to, you know, what's going on that we can help you with in running the township.
Okay, well, I would just say then, with regard to my personal issue, I was in here, last year, maybe in December, January, you know, talking to this board about the issues. And frankly, Shelley said one thing, and turned around and did something else. And there have been comments that came to me that,
It's not a function of the township committee to resolve personal issues. If you have an issue with Shelley, if you have a complaint that wasn't addressed properly, and you have specific facts, then present those specific facts for review. If you don't have the specific facts now, then perhaps what you can do is you can return at another time with the specific facts, because there's really not much we can do in the way of an answer for you when it's just speculation.
okay, specific facts and bring them to the township committee.
Sure, get a copy of the complaint, get a copy of the response.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, it sounds as if have reached the end of the public portion of the meeting. I thank you all for coming this evening. Please drive safely home. At this time, I'll pass it over to Mr. Coggins to read a statement to go into executive session.
I hereby move that a resolution be incorporated into the minutes authorizing the Township Committee to enter into an executive session for the following matters pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act: contract negotiation with Verizon Wireless and personnel. I also include in my motion that the estimated time and the circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public as follows. It is anticipated that the matters discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. With respect to contract negotiations, such matters will be made public when negotiations have ceased and there is no longer a reason for confidentiality. With respect to employment and personnel matters, such discussions will be made public if and when formal action is taken or when the individuals involved consent that it can be made public.
Second. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you all for attending. Have a great evening.